Australia's tourism industry has continued to rebound from the pandemic. Short-term visitor arrivals in November are back to 81% of pre-COVID levels, and the number of Aussies travelling overseas during the month was just 3.4% below pre-pandemic levels, with Indonesia, according to the ABS, the top destination. Well, joining me now is Margy Osmond, the CEO of the Tourism and Transport Forum. Margy, thanks for your time. Let's just start with the Christmas holiday season. Has it been a pretty good one for the tourism sector?
Look, I think it has been quite strong, but most importantly, it's been pretty strong from a domestic point of view. We know because we talked to travellers before Christmas. Most people were planning on staying here at home, and most of them were planning on staying in their own state. There was something like only 10 or 12% of people were planning on going overseas. So great boost for the locals.
Is that cost of living? People choosing domestic over international?
Look, I think there is definitely a cost of living impact now, and it's making people pause a little bit and have a think about where they're going to go and how much they're going to spend. But most importantly with that cost of living issue, though, is after they paid the rent, the mortgage and put food in the fridge and shoes on the kids' feet, the one thing that they are still prepared to spend on is a holiday, and it's ahead of shopping for the first time in longer than I can remember.
Wow. Well, look, the latest stats from the ABS, they are from November.
Yes.
But it's showing tourists to Australia coming from New Zealand, USA, UK and China on that list as well. And I guess that Chinese tourist market is slowly creeping back.
Look, it is very slowly creeping back. I think the important thing to understand, though, is in terms of people coming into Australia, New Zealand is still number one by a long shot, and it used to be number two to China anyway. There is a huge amount of still visiting friends and family that is happening there and people catching up on that process. China will come back, but I think the other thing we have to understand, having been there as a tourist myself reasonably recently, is that there's a whole new middle class in China that's discovering travel, and they're travelling in their own country first.
Yep.
So we're going to have to work quite hard to get them back, and it's a very competitive global tourism market now.
Yeah, the surge in travel, it's also resulted in airlines increasing prices of airfares, but is that holding back Australians or foreign tourists from coming here?
Oh, look, I think the more capacity we have, the cheaper the tickets are going to get. The best news, I think, in a long time is the additional Turkish Airlines flights, additional Singapore, additional Qantas, additional whole range of other airlines. And extra tickets means more capacity, means better outcomes from a price of ticket perspective. So watch this space. I think 2024 is the year we get some great deals.
Hopefully we can get some good deals. Look, the stats from the ABS also have Aussies' destinations where they're going. And interestingly, in November, Indonesia was the top place. But you've got some research that shows something a bit different.
Yes, look, I think the other thing to remember about what we saw from the November data, which has come out today, is that people would have booked those flights well in advance. There would have been not a great deal of spontaneity in that. So they were probably a reflection of cheap deals that were offered much earlier in the year when people made that decision. So when we asked people just before Christmas what their intentions were, for the first time in about, longer than I can remember, Bali was not in the top 5 of places that people were intending to go. Their number 1 was New Zealand, their number 2 was Europe, their number 3, from recollection, was Vietnam. So very Asia-focused and quite a bit in their own hood, if you like.
Now, we're both in Sydney. You've seen a lot of cruise ships coming back through Circular Quay and White Bay. Is the industry, fully recovered?
No, I wouldn't say cruise is fully recovered, but I'd say it's definitely on the pathway at this point in time. We know, once again, from another piece of work we've done asking about traveller intentions, that cruise 2024 is going to be the year of cruise, because a massive number of people are cruise curious, and if they've never been on a cruise ship, this is the year they're going, and particularly if they happen to be under 35. So I think this is going to be
without children or with kids, or what?
I think probably largely without kids,
Okay,
and I think it's a reflection of the, not in every case, but it's a reflection of the change in the cruise ship options, I think. You've got everything from the Virgin ones where you can, do yoga or go to the tattoo parlour or the Korean restaurant on board, or the very, very large ships where they'll have over 40 restaurants and everything you want to do under the sun, or the Disney ships, which obviously do cater for a much younger audience but very sophisticated, and then great Australian-based companies like Carnival P&O, which everybody seems to love.
So overall, how confident are Aussie tourism operators feeling right now?
Look, I think better than we have done in some time, but once again, it's the weather uncertainties that are going to be the big issue for Australia. You only have to look at far north Queensland and we anticipate...
Cyclone Jasper.
Correct.
Ends very recently.
Exactly. We were anticipating a very big year for far north Queensland this year, and it breaks my heart to see, you know, the damage that those storms will have done to prospects. Good on the Queensland government for offering, you know, subsidised fares, etc., which is terrific. Look, I think we're going to do well in 2024, and a lot of that will be driven by people going to places in Australia they've never been before. Millennials are going on cruises, and they've also discovered the great outdoors and places like Dubbo. So, you know, regional tourism is going to do well as well this year.
Margy Osmond, thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure.